Delusions for a Dragonslayer. Do we deserve our fantasies? China Puzo, a talented conga player, Dig Bong, a World War II fighter ace, and Marilyn Monroe all died in senseless accidental tragedies. And so does the protagonist of our story, Glazer Griffin. All of their deaths seemingly so avoidable, yet at the same time so deterministic. Griffin was an unremarkable 41-year-old man living a dull and monotonous life as an accountant. He never left town and always started every day by shaving. On one particular day he ran out of fresh razors, so he had to shave with a dull one, causing him to be late for work for the first time in 17 years. Hoping to save some time, Griffin took a back alley shortcut next to an abandoned building that was being demolished. Just as he was about to cross, the wrecking ball hit an unregistered gas pipeline in the abandoned building, causing an explosion that buried Griffin alive. Suddenly, Griffin awakes on a wooden sailing boat, and as he stands up, he notices he's somehow taller, and in the reflection of a bronze shield next to him, he sees the reflection of a chiseled Nordic warrior. He takes the sword out of the scabbard at his side, and from it comes a voice of an old man explaining to him that this is actually heaven. It is an amalgamation of all dreams, a combination of one's aspirations and life ethics, says the old man. If Griffin wishes to stay in this heaven forever, all he has to do is live up to his dreams. He must find an island, slay the mist devil, and win the love of the girl. As the voice fell silent, a storm approached the ship. The crew put their trust in their captain, and Griffin assumed his position at the helm. He was traversing the storm well when all of a sudden hypnotic colorful lights appeared that lured Griffin off course like sirens. Griffin, unable to resist their beauty, gave in to vanity and thus dooming the ship and its crew. Opening his eyes, Griffin found himself on an island beach with the storm seemingly long past. He gave but a thought to his perished crew and destroyed ship before venturing into the forested interior of the island. The shrubbery seemed endless, but finally Griffin stumbled upon a clearing with a gently flowing river. He enjoyed the idyllic beauty of his surroundings and concluded that this is a proper end to such an unfulfilling life. He followed the river to a waterfall where he saw the most beautiful woman, an image of all his desires, bathing in the water naked. And as he was lustfully eyeing her, the mist devil materialized behind her and grew into a gargantuan monstrosity. Griffin cowered in fear and began to despair as to how exactly he will fight the demon. And just as he did, the mist devil shrunk to a man-sized apparition and began making love to the woman. Griffin quietly approached them and stabbed the demon in the back. The creature shrieked and fell to the ground dead. Overwhelmed by lust, Griffin pounced on the woman and took her. And as Griffin was coupling with the woman like an animal, a large dragon appeared in the sky. Griffin turned towards the flying lizard, and in a brief moment of clarity, he realized that this is his true self. A life of evil he could not live, yet yearned for in secret. And just as he did, the gatekeeper of heaven pounced on him and devoured him whole. After a couple of hours, the emergency squad found Griffin's mutilated body in the rubble. But surprisingly, his head was more or less intact, and on it was an expression not of sadness or of fear, but that of a pathetic sense of loss. It did not rain anywhere in the universe that night. So this was a quick summary of Delusions for a Dragonslayer, a short prose written by Harlan Ellison that was published in the collection of his short stories titled by his most famous work, I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream. In my opinion, this is the most profound story in the collection that as a whole explores existentialist experiences through sci-fi and fantasy. This specific story focuses on the wants in life and expectations of life. We all have aspirations as to how our life should play out, and our internal sense of justice is quick to pass judgments on the fairness of our circumstances. Griffin was a fairly unremarkable man. It is true he committed no evil in his life, but he hasn't done much of anything in his life as a whole. And yet he felt entitled to his made-up fantasies. The story alludes to the fact that we often shy away from evaluating ourselves in earnest. It would bode well if one takes a step back and examines how their fantasies would actually play out, whether if they ever were to come true. Griffin daydreamed himself as a mighty warrior that defeats the bad guy and gets the girl. But once he actually got to live out his dream, it turned out he was nothing but a vain and selfish coward. He carelessly disregarded his companions for his own self-indulgence. He backstabbed the monster in fear and forced himself onto the girl in lust. His realization of the divine justice at play at the end shows how human it is only to begin regret one's actions after you are hit with the consequences. And as Harlan Ellison put well in the short story, a man may truly live in his dreams, his noblest dreams, but only if he is worthy of the dreams.